And at this time, I will now call on the incoming mayor, Councillor Titus Francis, to give his incoming address.
I would prefer to say good afternoon. His Excellency Charles Savrin, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savrin, the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Skerritt, Minister of Finance, Honorable Gloria Shillingford, Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, the Honorable Ian Douglas, Parliamentary Representative for the Portsmouth constituency and Minister of Tourism and Legal Affairs, Honorable Reginald Ostry, Parliamentary Representative for the Cottage constituency, which includes Lagon, which is part of the Portsmouth Town Council, his Minister for Housing, Lands, Settlements, and Water Resources. I recognize Mrs. Rodney, Commissioner of Work, Dickon Pushin Waldron, and from among other invitees, I see Honorable Ambrose George, Minister, and I also see the Attorney General, Mr. Levi Peter. Other government officials, specially invited guests, dignitaries. I must recognize the outgoing Mayor of Portsmouth, Mr. Cleve Sergeant, all right. I want to recognize also the employees of the Portsmouth Town Council, the people of Portsmouth, one and all. I say good afternoon and bid you a very warm welcome from the depths of my heart. Let me start by giving thanks and praises to the Most High for bringing us here today. I want to say a special thanks to the former members of the council for their service to the town. In a special way, I want to recognize the work of former Mayor Sergeant and his team. It is also fitting for me to pay homage to all past councillors and mayors who have served the town so faithfully over the years and who have set the foundation on which we now have to continue the building process. I take inspiration from all of you. I say thanks as well to the present members of the council and congratulations to all of you for taking up the mantle of leadership in our community at a crucial juncture in our development. And to you, the people of Portsmouth, who have come out here in record large numbers this afternoon, in record large numbers on September 15th, 2014, to cast your votes in the town council election. A number of people whom we spoke to before and after somehow shamefully admitted that this was the first time that they had voted in a town council in Portsmouth. That speaks millions of the message that was brought to the people during the 2 weeks of open campaign. I say thanks to you as well. It would be remiss of me not to thank my fellow councillors for expressing confidence in me and voting me as mayor in a unanimous way. Your trust is my trust, and I pledge to work with you, all of you. I will serve with the best of my ability, with honesty, diligence, transparency, and respect for each other, and recognize the law of democracy and the right of persons to have their own opinion as well as the right to disagree. To the people of Portsmouth, I promise to work in the interest of the development of the town and to ensure, according to British philosopher John Stuart Mill, and I quote, No plagiarism here this afternoon. I quote, actions are right to the degree that they tend to promote the greatest good for the greatest number. In other words, end of quote, sorry. In other words, what we do as council should be so right that it will benefit the greatest number of persons at all times. This is the challenge that we as councillors have accepted. And I make bold to say at this point that we will promote the team approach to accomplish our goals. It is always said that there is no I in team. Each one of us who has taken this pledge this afternoon has publicly committed his or herself to make the task, and our judge will be the public. We have indeed come together to commit ourselves to do all that we can do for the love of Portsmouth. As a council, with the help and support of the people of Portsmouth, we are ready to wake up the sleeping giant. The vision for this council is that we work as a team. In order to achieve, it is important to remember that behind every successful person, company, or group is a team of people that work collectively to realize the ultimate goal. Together with this goal come a shared vision, common interests, and objectives. This organizational concept of teamwork is epitomized by poet John Donne, who wrote, and I quote again, "No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." End of quote. This means that man, as a social animal, cannot exist by himself, and no one is self-sufficient. So we depend on each other for our survival. The success of the council is going to be largely dependent on the support of every able-bodied man and woman in Portsmouth. It will be determined by the willingness of each one of us, not each one of you, each one of us, to recognize his responsibility and play his role whenever called upon. And just briefly, let me just refer to a comment that was made by the outgoing mayor when he talked about not only cleaning the grass on the side of your road, suggesting that that is equal to not paying your dues. You must pay the dues, the taxes that are due to the council. We will talk about that at a later point in time. There has to be a greater sense of community involvement if we are to realize our goals. We celebrate our 36th anniversary of independence under the theme, "Our Nation, Our Responsibility." And in this regard, let us redefine ourselves as a people and a part of a wider nation. Let us recommit ourselves to national pride and a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and let us make Portsmouth the envy of the whole of Dominica. This is the direction that we should all be heading for using the motto of our independence celebrations this year. And what better way to assume our responsibility than to come on board with this new council? A council that is full of energy, excitement, and foresight, and perched on the brink of making this quantum leap into the future. A future that is full of hope and possibilities, promises and potential, and spearheaded by the force of a united people. That, ladies and gentlemen, will be the vision of this council under my leadership. Looking forward. In looking into the future, there are a number of issues and concerns which must be addressed if our objectives are to be met. I say our community deserves much more than we are putting into it. We owe so much to this town of ours. We owe it to ourselves, our children, and the future. And so the time has come for us to take on the mantle of collective responsibility and leadership in response to the call for action. Firstly, allow me to refer to the level of crime and violence that we see too often in our town. And I don't want to mention the last 3 incidents that we experienced about within the last 3 weeks. But this is not the Portsmouth we know, and this is not what we want either. Council will be developing a community-based approach to problem solving in this regard. We need to understand that we are our brother's keeper, and we are all in this together. One act of violence is one too many. And when we take lives and maim people, the scars we leave on the landscape of the community is indelible. As a people, we must stand up for what is right and just. We must be prepared to speak and do all within our powers to alleviate the scourge in our community. In the same light, we must be prepared to speak out against antisocial behavior and deviant tendencies which prevail among us. There has to be solutions, and we as a council, as leaders of our community, will initiate programs aimed at addressing these problems. We want our young people to go back to school. Dropouts must not be made to feel that they have reached the end and there is no hope for them. Our intention is to set up a subcommittee made up of councillors and youths, as well as other stakeholders. And out of that effort, we are hoping that we can promote continuing education for high school dropouts and also place focus and resources on getting more young people meaningfully and gainfully engaged. We will reach out to the National Employment Program in this regard. Environmental health management. Our outgoing mayor mentioned the problem that we have in the town. And if you just drive around Portsmouth this afternoon, you probably just have to drive along Bay Street and you don't need to go any further. You will turn back. It is shameful. There has to be a permanent and lasting solution to this nuisance of indiscriminate disposal and dumping of garbage on almost every street corner in Portsmouth. This problem is non-negotiable, and I say so without favor or fear. This practice can only lead to more vector-borne diseases and related infections. The Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation must come up with solutions towards this eyesore. But before this can happen, there has to be a paradigm shift in the thinking of our people. We must be prepared to manage our own waste. Stop putting garbage out for collection on days we know that there are no collection services. This is the first step towards the solution. The other part of this equation is that solid waste must be consistent and reliable in its services. If this is not forthcoming, then there has to be another way out. Council plans to engage solid waste in meaningful dialogue at finding ways and alternatives to deal with this problem. We know that Portsmouth has a mosquito problem, and we cannot forget chikungunya. The threat of dengue cannot be ignored either. Our responsibility is to clean up our backyard and take the advice of the environmental health professionals. Council will embark on a town cleanup campaign, and this will be done periodically, aimed at improving and promoting good environmental health practices and management. Sports, culture, recreation, wellness, and quality of life. Our number one priority in sports and recreation will be to ensure that the lighting project for Benjamin's Park becomes a reality. And trust me, it will happen. Council will play its part in the Park Development Committee, all with the goal of finding and providing an enabling environment for our young people and all persons interested in sports of one kind or the other. We would like to redevelop the jogging trail which formed the part of the perimeters of the Benjamin's Park when it was redeveloped. This will provide some comfort for many people who want to take their early morning walks but are afraid to go along the highways. Chronic and non-communicable diseases continue to plague us as a people. This also puts a strain on the national health budget and negatively impacts productivity in the workplace. Council will seek to collaborate with all interested parties and stakeholders in helping to create the necessary awareness of these diseases and how they can be prevented in the first case and managed as well. The 1990s saw Fête Maouin, those of us who are old enough to remember it. We want to work towards a rebirth of that event which will generate economic benefits for the town and promote that aspect of our culture. We will also set up a subcommittee to work with we'll also set up a subcommittee or work with existing ones on planning a more organized program of carnival activities for the town, which will incorporate the neighboring villages. We will reopen the links that once existed with our French neighbors with a view to developing cultural exchanges and economic activities for our townsfolk. Employee-employer relations. As an employer, that is the council, we commit ourselves to taking care of all our employees without exception. During the campaign, one employee of the council came up and directed a question at me. And he said, I want to ask Mr. Titus, if he come mayor, if he will increase our salary and give us uniforms. My response to him was, we cannot promise you salary increases because we don't know whether employees of the council are unionized or otherwise. But the issue of uniforms is a no-brainer. We commit ourselves to that. I responded to that already. Our employees play an important role in keeping the town clean, and we must appreciate that. We will review their working conditions and see how best we can improve where possible. That is a commitment we give to them. In this light, as we talk about the council, we believe that the town hall, and again, those of us who grew up in Portsmouth, we will recall that at Christmas time on Boxing Day night, there used to be quadrille dance in the town hall. I'm old enough to remember that. We believe that the town hall, as we know it, should be seen as an important and historic landmark in this town. The office of the council needs urgent repairs. The building is leaking. I was in there one of those afternoons for a meeting, and we had to be shifting because the floor is streaming with water. That's not good. We will seek to get new office furniture to complement an upgrade of the building. We will recognize whatever physical structure and renovation that we do, we intend to preserve the current architecture as is. Our economic opportunities. People of Portsmouth, I want us, not you again, I want us to begin to refer to a town as a university town. And by that, I mean, let us embrace Ross University School of Medicine as our own. I don't say that because I work there. But we must admit that after 36 years of existence in Dominica, Ross University has transformed the economic landscape of our town and Dominica by extension. There are still many opportunities which go a-begging for us as a result of the presence of this institution in our midst. Let us open our eyes. Let us form alliances so that we are positioned to take advantage of all these opportunities. At this point, I wish to mention that the team which ran for elections, and I would ask those of us as part of the team and no discrimination of the other people, Mr. Parlour, Clifford Parlour, please stand. Mr. Mali Baptist, please stand. Mrs. Bethude Azil, and Oy, Joseph Ed Williams, please stand. We took a committed position that we will not use the stipend that is paid to councillors for ourselves or for personal use. We have decided that we will use it as donation for worthy causes in Portsmouth and for community projects. I understand as well that two of the nominated members, Frederica James and Cynthia Wainham, have also committed themselves likewise. However, on behalf of the five of us, and in addition, we will use these monies for approved donations in the town and to foster community development. Ladies and gentlemen, our enthusiasm must not be allowed to surpass our sense of realism. We will not promise to take you to the promised land, but we will attempt to pave a smooth road that leads you there. There are so many other initiatives that we want to work towards implementing, but we have to be practical and learn not to bite more than we can chew. However, one thing is clear, and that is I am inspired by the many words of support and commendations that members of the team and I have received following our victory of September 15th, 2014. There is a very, very high sense of expectation from the people of Portsmouth. And outgoing mayor made reference to it. We must be up to the challenge. Together, we now have to transform all this energy into real and tangible work. Your hopes and dreams, that is to the people of Portsmouth, are our hopes and dreams. Your show of support and encouragement constitute our determination, and together we will wake up this sleeping giant. Together, we will move Portsmouth forward. I thank you for listening, and I promise to listen to you in return. May God bless you. May God bless Dominica. And may God bless Portsmouth. I thank you very much.